This video was brought to you by Audible. By using the link in the description, you can get 1 month's free membership, including a free audiobook of your choice, and unlimited access to Audible's original podcasts, including the brilliant Sun King about the rise of Rupert Murdoch. Sign up and support the channel by clicking the link in the description. Hello and welcome to another TLDR US video. With the coronavirus still spreading, the question of government authority in the United States has made the national spotlight. With states and cities declaring lockdowns, the question of how far the First Amendment reaches has become paramount. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at how the current crisis has impacted how governments in the US balance governing with respecting the rights that are laid out in the Constitution. To understand the debate around this issue, it's necessary to first look at the historical context. The First Amendment to the US Constitution states, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances." Since we'll be focusing on religion, let's take a look at the part of the amendment which deals with religion specifically, the first part. It has two parts to it: the Establishment Clause and the Exercise Clause. The Establishment Clause means that the federal government cannot establish a national religion, while the Exercise Clause prohibits them from keeping people from worshipping as they see fit. It's worth noting here that the amendment specifies that Congress cannot violate these individual rights. This would leave open the question of states and local governments having that ability. However, in 1868, the ratification of the 14th Amendment expanded that restriction to the states. Now, with the current crisis, the shelter-in-place and the stay-at-home orders issued by governors and mayors around the country have gained a fair bit of scrutiny. With Holy Week last week leading up to Easter, some churches held services in socially distanced settings by having parishioners stay in their vehicles. However, in one Mississippi town, police issued $500 citations to attendees that refused to leave. This has garnered a lot of criticism in the last few days, with supporters of the church claiming that the government had no right to suspend civil liberties if government guidelines regarding social distancing are being followed. Supporters of the church also point out the exercise clause of the First Amendment we mentioned earlier. It's worth noting that on Tuesday, the Justice Department filed a statement of interest in the case, in which they voiced their support for the church. This is important to highlight because it means that the government is formally supporting one side in this case. In Kentucky, Governor Andy Beshear announced that attending Easter services would be a misdemeanor offence, for which the police would record license plates and require those in attendance to self-isolate for at least 14 days. This prompted criticism from other prominent Kentucky politicians. Both Senator Ron Paul and Congressman Thomas Mazie tweeted criticisms of the order. As a result of both situations and others happening across the country, the extent of the First Amendment's authority has been called into question. However, while these particular situations are unprecedented, as a pandemic like this has not occurred in recent history, it's not the first time this question has come up. During World War I, Congress passed Espionage and Sedition Acts, aimed at anti-war activists, socialists and pacifists. These acts made it a crime to make false statements about the government, armed forces, or their respective execution of functions during the war. Socialist Charles Schneck distributed leaflets criticising the government's use of the draft and was subsequently arrested and charged under the Espionage Act. The case made it to the US Supreme Court in 1919. And a unanimous court held that Congress could suspend or restrict civil liberties in wartime. Because his leaflets were intended to result in actions that would be a crime under the Espionage Act, the court upheld his conviction. There is one other situation to look for precedent: the influenza pandemic of 1918. Many comparisons have been made in recent weeks between our current situation and that of 1918. And while not all of those hold much water, the examples set for restrictions on civil liberties certainly do. The government response to the influenza pandemic was actually quite similar to our modern response to the coronavirus. In many municipalities, public gatherings were banned, and schools and churches were often closed. This, similarly to now, caused some controversy, and a few laws ended up being overturned by local courts for being too overreaching. Most, however, were not. Most public officials at the time decided that these restrictions were acceptable given the circumstances. The common saying about free speech says that you can't shout fire in a crowded theatre because of the risk of public safety. By that logic, courts decided that you probably shouldn't sneeze in a theatre during a pandemic either, or be in a crowded theatre in the first place for that matter. Now we realise that these are completely different circumstances to those of Schneck and 1918, but it does at least establish that there is some kind of precedent to deal with this current situation. Some believe that the government's ability to curb individual liberties is a slippery slope. At the same time, others have said that it's the government's responsibility to try and stop the spread of the coronavirus. What do you think? Should the government be able to suspend individual rights in times of crisis? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Oh, and just quickly, if you enjoyed this video, you might like the one we made about the balance between saving lives and protecting the economy, where we discuss how far we should go to protect human life. It's linked down below. As I said at the start, this video is brought to you by Audible. Audible is the #1 source for getting audiobooks online, with over 200,000 books available. If you sign up, you can get one free book every month, and if you don't like the book you choose, then it's all good, you can just swap it out for another. As well as your free book every month, you also get access to as many Audible original podcasts as you could possibly want. And also, if you cancel your membership, no worries. Those books you've downloaded are yours to keep. Get your 1 month free trial and your free book on us by clicking the link in the description. And by doing so, you'll let them know that you came from us, which helps us out too. We'll keep you updated on the coronavirus as events unfold. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified every time we release a video. Special thanks to our Patreon backers who make videos like this one possible.